What's going on YouTube? Claic Yuzolt back again with another Final Fantasy Brave Exvius video, and in today's video we're talking about the new Final Fantasy XIII units. We have CG Lightning and Neverending Hope coming out. I want to tell you guys how good they are and if you should be pulling, and just go over, rotations and if these characters are worth it to you. Let's get into it. So guys, I'm trying to make this video, then rush out to Evo. Again, I'll be gone for a week, so please don't judge me too hard if I make a mistake. I'm doing the best I can, and I will see you guys in a week after Evo. So first up, we have the Neverending Hope. Neverending Hope is going to be, he looks pretty badass. At least, anyway. He is going to be a 5-star base, going up to 7-star debuffer, buffer, support type damage dealer. Looking on down at his TMR survival knife, and you guys really let me have this on this TMR, stating that it's actually pretty good. When I said I didn't really think I'd be using it that much, there are situations with barrel and other units like that. Also, you put high tight on it, third on a support, high spirit on a dagger. I can see why you would want to use it, so I want to rescind that and just be like, hey, it does have its uses, obviously, but for me, not too interested personally. High title, it's going to be great. Other than that, you guys will probably like it a lot more than I will. Let's put it that way. Next up, we have STMR Shining Guardian of Hope. Increase MP 30%, magic 50%, and light resist 100%. I've already been over this, but the light resist 100% is absolutely amazing. Coupled with some MP 30% and magic 50%. Now, it's not the best STMR out there in the world, but this is the best one for light resist, obviously, right? 100% plus all those other stats. Pretty good there. Moving on down, again, we're going to be talking about Hope. He is the problem with Hope, before we even get into him, is that Sylvie exists. Essentially, Sylvie is going to take any of these kind of unique support units and put them straight in the trash can because Sylvie is so amazing. So I want to say that first and foremost. If you already have Sylvie, there really isn't that big of a need for Hope in your party. We can go down through his abilities, like I said. Grant the counter physical attacks taken by all allies except for caster with 100% counter rate. Increase LB fill rate 150% for 3 turns of all allies. So he has LB up. He can decrease defense by 60% and buff attack by 130% for all allies. He can do magic damage and remove all status effects from all enemies, so he does have a kind of dispel of some sort there. Decrease magic, so he can break. Looks like he's going to be able to break by 60%, at least at 5-star right now, and buff another stat by 130. He has Blast Punch. Increase attack and magic 150% for 3 turns of one ally. Increase LB gauge 5 to 10 to one ally. So he allows for a single target, hey, you're getting hopefully a bunch of LB crystals that you need, along with getting a little bit more of a bump up in attack and magic there. We do have mitigate damage taken 30% for 4 turns to all allies, so that's going to be a general mitigation buff. Remember, though, that they do not stack with general mitigation buffs. So, for example, if you have something out there like a CG Charlotte, whose LB is doing about 50%, you won't really need this 30%. If you don't, though, this 30% is going to be great. Damage mitigation stacks if it is general mitigation like this, then physical mitigation, magic mitigation, and then you can also defend, and all that mitigation is going to stack up together. This also grants an HP barrier for all allies. So, it's pretty good if you don't have some kind of other outside mitigation, like general mitigation to be casting. We have a couple more of the abilities here. Another break ability here from attack 60%. And then we have Destructive Punch. So we had Blast Punch, now we have Destructive Punch. Increase your defense and spirit by 150% and recover MP 100 to one ally. So it's the single target buffs and support in that way are actually pretty nice. Decrease spirit 60%, increase magic 130% for 5 turns of all allies. Increase light and dark resist 100% for 3 turns of all allies. Increase resist to stop 100%. So this is actually another great ability if you're dealing with light and dark resist, right? 100%. That's going to help you guys hit those numbers you need to resist the bosses. Recover MP 40 to all allies. Mitigate magic damage taken 20% for all allies. So again, there we go. We have magic mitigation with his normal mitigation, meaning you're taking much less magic damage overall. We have Earthquake Chaining if you'd like to do that with them. We also have an AT Chaining, or Absolute Mirror of Equity Chaining family right here. And then we have Double Gestalt, which is going to be his dual casting ability. So he does have the ability to go in here and pretty much he could use this ability on two of your attackers here. For your defense team, he could use this on 2 people or just give MP recovery twice to somebody like that. He could cast his magic mitigation up along with his normal mitigation. He could break defense and spirit on a single turn, magic and attack on a single turn, and mix it up whichever way you need to do it. So that's something he can be doing. Looking at Last Resort, we have available in turn 1, 5-turn cooldown. Decrease spirit by 74% to 1 turn to all enemies. So it's only a 1 turn 74% break. Increase magic 250% for 1 turn to caster. Cannot be dispelled. Light magic 15 times and ignore spirit 50% to all enemies. So if you build him up to do some damage, that move right there is doing 30 times multiplier, and the spirit's going to be decreased quite a bit, and he's increasing his magic by 250%. So he actually can do quite a bit of damage with Last Resort if you build him up enough to be able to do that. And then other than that, you know, his magic is going to be kind of not useful. I mean, maybe you are using these abilities up here. They have low modifiers. Maybe you're Quake chaining with someone. You definitely probably are Absolute Mirror of Equity chaining, but it's just, I don't know, not really meant for that, in my opinion. But maybe you guys will build him that way. Available in turn 1, 7-turn cooldown. Increase attack, defense, magic, and spirit by 180% for 4 turns to all allies. Can't be dispelled. Mitigate damage taken 40% for 4 turns to all allies. So this is pretty good for a starting out buff, you know what I mean? Defying Destiny. You know, it's gonna run out in 4 turns, and then you're back to using his, like, you know, these weird kind of buffs in a way, but I mean, you do get to keep them at 130%, which is nice. So, you know, overall, I'm kind of, maybe I'm dumping on him a little bit too much before we go any further, strictly because I just think of Sylvie, or other units in the you know, Zargaboth even. I'm not saying that he's not better than Zargaboth in some ways, but it just, he's there, but he's not 100% there, right? Like, he's pretty good. You know, CG Nichols on par with him, in my opinion, with these awakenings and stuff. Pretty good, but, like, nothing insane, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of people will have units that, you know, are a bit better, or at least in some cases better than what we have here with Hope. Moving on through his, he doesn't have that many passives, actually. We have some stat passives, some MP recovery, magic passive, auto heal. Increase LB gauge fill rate 100%, increase LB 1 per turn. I like how they keep, I mean, I hope they keep adding this, so at least you get a little bit per turn, you know what I mean? When those crystals don't go your way, they start going into the same person over and over, you know, it can help you out with that. You are going to see this on Lightning too, but he does have Alexander bonus stats because, you know, Alexander in FF13 was tied to him, as in Odin was tied to Lightning. Increase light resist 50%, increase magic 30%, HP MP, increase resist to confuse and stop, so this is very important. When a unit can put up stop, resist, or cure stop, the status element, and they're not resist to stop, it's kind of a little bit of a yikes situation, so at least he has that. If you have his TMR, STMR equipped, he's going to get some stat bonuses. He's going to get MP recovery some more, so it's going to go up to 10% per turn. Auto casting Becoming Hope. Mitigate damage taken 15% to caster. Okay. Okay. Yeah, he takes a little bit less damage. Increase HP. Increase magic 40% and HP and MP 20%, and then puts up modifiers. Last Resort even goes up by 5 times. So, I mean, I'm very interested in this ability, because now that's going to be a 40 times multiplier on this ability right here. So it's pretty interesting, but you can only cast it once every 5 turns, 5-turn cooldown, which is kind of rough. But yeah, moving on down, let's check out his LB, see if this is even bigger. Decrease resistances to all elements 100% for 1 turn to all enemies. Fire, ice, lightning, water, wind, light, earth, and dark magic damage 15.25 times to all enemies. Recover MP 200 to all allies. So he does have this reoccurring thing where he only wants to do his big things for 1 turn. I was hoping this was resistance is up, but it's not. It's like damage. And again, I think you can build him to do a little bit of damage with that move if he is going to be your support. I think maybe that is the way you build him, is you build him because it looks like they're trying to force you into doing some damage with him as well on random turns. And then the 200 MP to all allies is massive MP recovery. So it's a great MP battery. It doesn't really even take that much. Sorry, it doesn't even take, it's the same number. It doesn't take that much to fill up his LB, and he has 100% LB fill rate anyway. So overall, what are my thoughts on Hope? Again, I think I need to make sure I'm giving him a fair shake. I need to remember that not everybody has these awesome support units like CG Nichols, Zargaboth, Uraisha, I know I'll say her name wrong, Granny, and then Sylvie, obviously. So this is an option for you if you don't have those great support units. But if you do, I don't see him getting much use unless you want to mess around with his magic damage dealing abilities, and kind of trying to one-shot things with that. Maybe that. Actually, it's not even a one-shot strategy with that LB, because it's only down 100%, right? Like you put every element down by 100% for 1 turn, but normally you pick an element anyway, and most of the time people have close to 100% in peril anyway, so I don't even think that's a strategy to use with them. So it's up to you if you want to use Neverending Hope. It's really going to be for people, again, that don't already have an amazing support unit. Here she comes, Radiant Lightning, coming out the gate on Odin. People, again, I'm just going to bring this up. People say they don't like her sprite, they don't like her animations. Bro, when I first saw her, I loved it. It may have been I just like Lightning in general. She's like really cool to me. And on top of that, it may have been because she's the first CG unit that was Final Fantasy to get into the game. So there may be some like nostalgia love for that from seeing her in JP and being super excited. But yeah, I actually like her sprite. She's going to be a 5-star base, going up to 7-star damage dealer with some debuffing, some breaking capabilities. Her TMR is dual form. Okay, increase equipment attack 100% when dual wielding. Again, this is going to be true dual wields, Buster style, for example. Here's some things I want to talk about this. I believe you want to have this in your pocket for the future units that Global could release, along with there are some units out there that you're going to want to use this on. There is, however, a TMR specific Moogle for Lightning in the King Mog shop. You could grab that, put it into your Moogle Prism, and then eventually build that up and get dual form that way. So you don't have to pull for Lightning at all if you were just searching for this TMR. There are units out there that do come out that are true dual wields in the future in JP that will not require this if you get enough of their TMR. One of the TMRs coming out next time with the next CG Final Fantasy unit being CG Bartz, he will have the Martial Glove of true dual wield. So it's going to get plus 40 attack, some LB fill rate, and 50% to true dual wield, okay? So these are options for you guys out there if you are considering what you want to do for this TMR. I personally definitely want to have it in my backpack, and I'm going to use the Moogle Prism I got from the anniversary along with the King Mog the King Mog specific Moogle, fuse it into there, and that's how I'm going to go for dual form if I don't end up getting a Lightning off of a daily or maybe a tickets I decide to spend later, okay? Moving on to our STMR, we have Zentetsuken. It's an attack 169 sword. It has Radiant Paladin attached to it. Increases equipment by 50% when dual wielding, increases LB damage 30%. I think it's a pretty cool STMR. A lot of good uses for true dual wield units. It's not really going to be used for anybody else, as you probably want a two-handed weapon in your hand anyway. Nice little passive here to get that extra 50% dual wielding if you need it, true dual wielding, and then, LB up, which is cool. Moving on down, let's talk about Lightning. Lightning is going to be a unit. I'm just going to talk about her up here for a minute before we go over her kit. Lightning is going to be doing the most damage in Global when she comes out, in my opinion, and she will get stronger as time goes as a couple of different items come out in the game. Lightning has a lot of different options for her when it comes to building. We have Sparky, be able to throw in her hand and be able to use that along with a bunch of gun mastery percentages there. We do have Aloha Lastwell here on Global. His TMR is going to help her get to that 200% max true dual wield that you guys are going to need out there. Along with all kinds of different other options. So if you're thinking about Radiant Lightning, before we get into her skill kit, she is going to be the most damage even over Xeno. It's going to be somewhere around probably a 15 to 20% increase over Xeno. Bartz will come out, and I do believe because of the way Global works, she will at least be on par or better than Bartz in that way because she'll really take advantage of his TMR. You'll be pulling for that anyway. So as far as Lightning is concerned, great damage dealer. If you've been saving for somebody you want to chain with, I'll go over her kit, and if that interests you, I think she also has some great perks to her besides just her damage. I wonder why she's so looked down upon, honestly, looking at her from a JP standpoint, like checking the JP tier list or talking with people. They don't seem to be too high up on Lightning, but they love Bartz. And I just think that Lightning's on par with Bartz, if not better, especially with the way Global works. So that's my opinion. And maybe it'll change down the road as I get to using her. Maybe if I get to use her, I get to use her friend's unit. But looking at her on paper, I think she's a great, fantastic unit. And if you wanted a little bit of an upgrade, or you wanted to be using a Final Fantasy character instead of maybe Xeno, instead of maybe Esther, this is another option for you, okay? Moving on down. Through her ability, she's going to have this thing where if she uses an attack, it's going to decrease magic by 60%, and then the next turn, it's going to decrease attack by 60%, right? So it's like decrease magic for 4 turns, decrease attack by 60% the next turn. So it's like bam bam, like double break there. If used after a Paradigm Shift Ravager, which is going to be probably a cooldown ability, name changes to Spark Strike 2. It's going to deal lightning damage a little bit more. It's going to decrease by 10% more. So she can get all the way up to 70% breaks. They're kind of like, how do we put this? Again, they're like tiered. So it's like, I'm going to break magic. The next turn, I'm going to break attack, okay? Next up, we have a way to put up her LB if we wanted to in Seismic Strike and hit all the enemies. So we do want an AoE to clear trash with her. We're going to have a fire. So we have lightning, fire, and ice. And that is going to go with different things. So we have defense and spirit break here. Another attack and magic one. Again, they go up by 10%. And we have water. That's going to be another defense and spirit one. So she covers lightning, fire, ice, and water. These are just these specific abilities, though. They do not imbue. And they're also going to do that tiered break again with defense and spirit afterwards. Go ahead and click this right here. We can be dual casting these abilities. So if you want to go in there in the first turn and you want to use her as a breaker, you can go 60%. defense, 60% magic or something. And the next turn, it'll smack them with, the next decrease to that stat. So that's something you do have the option to do. And those are the only, with this ability right here, remember double strike, it only goes to these abilities up here. And those are essentially going to be our breaks or our elemental damage dealings. She does bring Crushing Blow back, a Crushing Blow plus, physical damage, ignore defense, and decrease lightning resist by 75%. That's going to be with the Bolting Strike family. I don't see you using this a lot, honestly, because you'll have a much bigger break, much bigger imperil, down the way here. We have Skyward Swing, which is going to be physical damage with A rate chaining. I don't see you using this very much either. The only reason I'm saying that is I'm trying to weed out so you're not confused on how to do our rotation. We have Stormblade. Stormblade is going to be a ability that increases modifiers on a lot of her different other abilities. We're looking down at Thunderfall plus lightning damage 2.7 times to all enemies. Decrease lightning resist 80% for 5 turns to all enemies. Add lightning elements to physical attacks for 5 turns to caster. And it's going to be AT chaining or absolute mirror of equity. So this is the move you guys are going to use if you need to lightning imbue. My problem with this is I don't think you need a lightning imbue. We have so many weapons in global where you want to have them on her, and plus the new Executioner Extraordinaire TMR that you guys got where you get more damage if you have a lightning weapon equipped. I think that's the way you want to go with lightning. She's just going to be lightning in a bottle, baby. Meme it up. She's going to be wanting to have that on, and that's going to make her even more powerful, and that's an option opened up to a lot of people. So something you guys might want to take advantage of. And this is it right here, Razor Gale. Decrease lightning resist by 120%. So the reason I want to talk about this is that that's a massive decrease in lightning resistance there. Obviously, you've already seen Bolting Strike in her chaining family, so maybe she could go with, a little bit of Esther chaining. It is going to be on the weaker side of her damage dealing abilities right here. It's not going to be optimal, but if you need to break lightning resist by 120%, if you're going maybe for a one-turn kill with Esther, maybe double lightning would be even better there, you know what I'm saying? But let's say that's what you want to do. You have an Esther, you have a lightning, you're going to use a friend Esther. You can go in there and imperil 120% and let the Esters go wild, you know what I mean? That's just an option if you would like to do that. We're going to go ahead and turn on her dual cast abilities. This is our second W cast that can be used each turn. Looking at Lightning Strike, that's going to be available in turn 2, 2-turn cooldown. Physical damage 11 times to one enemy. Decrease lightning resist 100% for 1 turn to one enemy. Really not sure why you would want to use this. I mean, it's a big modifier right here, kind of like a finishing move. But again, I want that 120% as we talked about up there. We have 2 cooldown abilities to talk about that you are going to cast turn 1, and you always want them to, you always want to be casting them on turn 1, essentially, so that you guys can have these modifiers increases along with these great buffs. So available on turn 1, 10-turn cooldown, increase resist to attack break for 10 turns, so it lasts as long as the cooldown does. And it's going to increase these modifiers for the rest of the fight unless she dies. We're going to see this happening, and it's already started happening a little bit with Elena, and kind of a little bit less with Esther and Zeno. These units are going to have a couple of turns to ramp up, and once they do, they start laying it thick. They start doing so much damage. This is going to be for Barks as well. If they die, that's when it will be dispelled. That's when it goes away, if they're dead, and they get brought back, and then they have to restart up, and if their cooldown isn't up, if they're kind of, a little bit crippled there in their damage capabilities because they're not going to have these nice modifier increases on these turns. When you cast Define Destiny, you get all these modifiers, like I said, and you get an MP refresh 500 split over those 10 turns. So you're going to get a lot of MP back as well, so you can cast all your abilities that you want. Paradigm Shift, this is the one that needed to cast, I do believe, to make these better. No, it's Paradigm Shift Ravager. Oh, that's another ability right here. Okay. I was like, wait a minute, what? They just had the same name. It's a 10-turn cooldown as well, available in turn 1. Increases your attack by 250% for 11 turns, guys. That is 11 turns. You can double cast these. I think it's one of the changes, I do believe, that came from Global and JP. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, that we can double cast these on turn 1 before you'd have to take 1 turn to do Define Destiny, another turn Paradigm Shift, and then go into damage dealing capabilities. Now we can do this turn 1 and turn 2. We're getting in there and start fighting. So that's why she's a bit stronger here on Global. These changes helped her do that. We're going to get increased modifiers on our abilities again, so that's why on turn 1 you're kind of casting these 2 abilities, and then from there we're going to move on to the rest of her kit in a minute. I'll talk about her rotation. Available in turn 1, 2-turn cooldown, decrease attack, defense, magic, and spirit by 60% to all enemies, but it's only for a turn, and then it increases her LB fill rate 300% for 1 turn as well. I don't really see you using this ability too often because it's only a 1-turn AoE break. You're probably going to need to take a different breaker or decide if she's going to be your breaker, use one of these abilities so it lasts longer. That's just my opinion. I guess you have to use this to make those 70%, but it's really up to you. I can see how it works now where you're like, I don't know though. You're really like, you're really taking lightning down a notch. She can break, but I don't think she's going to be your breaker. Let's just put it that way. Just the way she works. A Relentless Assault is going to be able to put up, it's going to be chain finishing. So it's going to be, this is going to be your main damage dealing ability you're going to be using. So it's going to be hitting, and then have a big chain finisher at the end. It increases modifiers to Relentless Assault when you use it. So for 3 turns the caster. So as long as you're keeping that up, this is actually going to do more damage along with, you know, using the 2 cooldown abilities. This is going to be her big chaining move, like I said, that you're going to be dual casting a lot. Army of 1. I like how these names just come back to me thinking about the old 5-star lightning. Available on turn 3, 3-turn cooldown. Physical damage 8 times, ignore defense 50%. So it's a 16 times modifier AoE. Increase LB gauge 30 to caster. Increase LB damage 50% for 3 turns, which we're going to be using, and that's A-ray chaining, which, you know, another lightning will help you out, or anybody that can A-ray chain, okay? Moving on down through our passives, we do have physical evasion up by 30% for anybody out there wanting to mess around with that. Increase lightning resist 50%. Enable dual wielding of one-handed weapons, so dual wield's already in the kit. We have LB up, MP up every turn. Increase defense and spirit by 20%. Cast Oral's Shield. Oral's. I always had a hard time saying that, man. I can't roll it right. At the start of battle, let's go see what Oral's Shield is. Mitigate damage taken 10% to caster, so taking a little bit less damage with the physical evasion is pretty cool. Increase HP and MP 20%. Okay, we have Blind, Paralyze, Confuse. We need Petrify. So you guys are still missing one. But those are, again, 3 great ones to be if, you know, that was Petrify instead of Blind. But you also don't want to be blinded. It's something you got to get rid of. Increase chain modifier cap 6 times when dual wielding. So she does get that true dual wield cap going up to 6 times, which is great. Increase attack by 25% when equipped with a sword. Increase attack 25% when equipped with a gun. So right here, that's what I'm saying. You know, you could put a sword in her hand. You can also put freaking Sparky in her hand and go to town, right? Because it has a lightning element attached to it. It's going to be a great build for you guys out there. And you guys don't have to specifically use a gun and a sword, right? But these are just extra attack percents up you get with that. And increase equipment attack 50% when dual wielding. So we already have 50% true dual wield in our kit from that. Increase attack 30%. Increase Odin stats 50%. Chance to counter physicals with counter occurrence and magic with counter current. Counter current is decreasing lightning resistance 100% for 1 turn. So, I mean, that's just another imperil, but you're going to be having an imperil on the boss anyway. Autocast Unleash Power at the start of battle. Increase LB gauge 100 to caster. So, at the very beginning of the fight, you're going to have your LB up, right? 100. How much does hers cost? Why does it say 130? That's weird that it says 100. I guess they're just going to make sure that you get, maybe that's wrong. I don't know. They're going to make sure you get your LB. So, at the start of battle, you're going to have your LB built up. And then we're looking at the TMR, STMR equip passives here. Increase attack, defense, magic, spirit 30%. We put modifiers up on everybody and we get our LB up. You guys want to have this one. Specifically, you are definitely using your TMR on her if you get her, because you're going to need that to reach that threshold on the true dual wield cap there with that. Moving on down, we have HP 20% going up. We have some more modifier increases, and then we have another, so it's going to be attack 50% for guns or swords, and that's going to stack. So you guys are going to be able to hit that attack cap probably pretty easily with this if you put a gun and a sword in her hand, because you're going to have 100% right there. You're just going to need to fill in that 300% elsewhere. And then she also does have other modifiers for attack going up. See, there's attack there. There's 60% already. So yeah, so you're going to have 160. If you have a gun and a sword in her, she's going to have 160 innately. So then you just got to build it up with other items. So it's not going to be that hard. She does have full life. She can revive. She has Kurage if you need it in those situations. She has a 40% imperil on all things, which I don't think you're really going to want to use. And moving on down to her LB, which is something that's going to be in her rotation. Physical damage 10.85 times with ignore defense 50% to all enemies. Decrease lightning resist 120% for 5 turns to all enemies. It's only at 32, not too high. And increases modifiers on all these abilities until you die. So this is going to be really great. Obviously, it does a shit ton of damage, and it puts down the lightning resist again for 120% for 5 turns. So essentially, as long as you're putting that LB inside of your rotation, you don't even have to worry about the imperil to begin with. So essentially, because she has her LB starting at the beginning of the fight, what you guys want to do is you want to cast, starting out the fight with lightning, you want to cast Defying Destiny and Paradigm Shift, right? You want to use these 2 cooldown abilities. Get those modifiers up, and also get your attack up and an attack break resist, and get that MP flowing into you. Next up, I do believe you're going to want to be using your LB. You're going to get those modifiers up again, along with big damage, and decreasing lightning resist by 120% for 5 turns. Get that rolling as we start off the fight, okay? After that, you guys are going to double cast the AT chaining, double cast the AT chaining, this move right here, because it's going to be buffed up by all these different modifiers. And then once available, so turn 3, you guys are going to want to use Army of 1 and this AT chaining. You're going to dual cast both of these. The reason you're going to cast this is 1, get your LB back up, 2, increase your LB damage, and 3, it actually does a lot of damage, right? It's like a pretty good damage dealing thing. And then you go back to AT chaining. After that, you're going to go cast your LB again, right? You want to cast your LB again. You want to make sure that, you know, this is always up. This lightning resist is always down. So make sure that's always a thing for you guys so that doesn't run out. And then you just go back to AT chaining, AT chaining, AT chaining, and you just make sure you put Army of 1 and that LB into it, and that's all you guys have to do. If you are deciding you're not going to have a lightning weapon in your hand, which I don't think that's the way you want to go. And I understand that it kind of puts lightning into a specific role that if something's lightning resist, you're not using her, but I just think that's how it is anyway. But 120%, you might still end up using her. You do need to fit in this add lightning element into your attack. So you probably want to cast these two, cast the LB in my opinion, then cast Thunderfall into Relentless Assault, and make sure Thunderfall's still up. That's the only difference I have there. So overall, honest to God, I'm very interested in lightning. It sucks. I didn't want to have to pull for it, so I think I'm just going to use... I'm 100% not using Lapis. That's already done. Because I thought I was going to go for Bartz. But the more I look at lightning, I am more attracted... Bartz is going to be a wind element, by the way. I am more attracted to lightning. Like, I've always been attracted to the lightning element over something like wind. If a unit... Like in an anime, if a person starts using lightning, I'm just like, I like that person. And that person's cool. So... I don't know, we do have Esther, and again, it's not the biggest jump in damage. I mean, from Esther, it is pretty substantial. From Xeno, you know, Esther goes into Xeno, Regina, Lightning, you know, it is starting to go up. And again, with the predictions that Lightning is going to be a little bit better than Bartz, or at least on par, I may choose Lightning over Bartz. I haven't decided yet. I'll have to let you guys know. Okay, guys, so my overall thoughts on this banner. Should you pull on this banner? If you want an upgrade in damage, if you don't have Esther, Xeno, Elena, things like that, and you want to mess around with a new damage dealer, Radiant Lightning is going to be a great choice for you. At first, I thought we were going to have to pull on this banner in order to get that TMR, but if you were lucky enough to have a Prism, or maybe, you know, in the future, when we get those return tickets, if you get a Prism off of them, not return tickets, excuse me, the anniversary tickets for your rank or whatever. If you get another Prism, you can get that Trust Moogle in the King Mog shop. Bada bing, bada boom, fuse it in, and you don't even have to go after Radiant Lightning at all. Neverending Hope is going to be an option for you guys out there who do not have a great support unit yet. It's, you know, that's something you guys can get your hands on. Looking into the future, there will be a banner with Bartz on it who will do almost the same amount of damage as Lightning, maybe a little less, or at least on par, because of the different things happening in Global for Lightning. It really increases her damage output. And he might be buffed too, who knows? He will be on a banner with a unit, a white mage, who is going to be astronomically insane. She is going to be very good. She's going to be on par with Myra, if not better than Myra. So in the end, if you're really looking for a damage dealer, it's not going to be that too long before CG Bartz shows up, and you get your chance. Instead of getting like a, you know, mid to high tier support unit, you get one of the best triple casting white mages to ever smack the game, which is going to be great for you guys. But with the changes of CG Fina and, you know, with her awakenings and everything like that, and Aerith getting awakenings in the future, at this point, it's like, it really became, what do you want to play with? I know a lot of people talk about power creep, but it's really what interests you, and I have to make a decision here if I want to go for Lightning or Bartz. I am going to go for Bartz. See, that's the problem is, I am going to go for Bartz because I want that TMR, right? But maybe it'll be in the, I want multiples. I want maybe 2 of them. Again, well, problems, I guess. I don't know. Problems of a player chasing TMRs, hoping for the future with True Dual Wield. It's going to be tough for me to decide, but again, this banner is definitely skippable. Let's put it that way. It's skippable. It's King Mog. Again, damage dealing units going to be a dime a dozen. If you like Lightning, that's awesome. I do like the 120% Lightning resist decrease, just in case you want to make some crazy Omega one-shot team. We do have Barb that does that as well, though, I think. And then, again, Hope. That's for people out there who don't have support, so... Yeah, if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up. Comment down below how you feel about Lightning. Is she enticing to you? Is she enticing to you like she is to me? The problem is, again, Bartz is calling my name with that TM. Maybe I'll just wait on Bartz. Dude. I like the Sparky. Anyway, and then subscribe for future content. We'll catch you guys in the next video.